Like the bat signal.
Because tonight we're shining the spotlight with a spoiler-free review of the newest Universal and Blumhouse horror flick, Wolfman.
So don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe.
Let's do this. What up, Gotham Guardians and Arkham Adversaries? It's your boy Trey and his Wife Sara, and we just got back from the movie theaters checking out Wolfman, directed by Leigh Whannell. Oh my god, this was one of my most anticipated films of 2025, and I have to say, it is not your grandfather's Wolfman. From, the Universal's classic horror 1941 film starring Lon Chaney. This is something, it's really a modernization of the character and a really grounded approach. Yes, it does incorporate some of those necessary ingredients to a werewolf film, like inner turmoil, transformation, and monstrous brutality and tragedy. But it's really different by, it takes everything you know about the Wolfman lore, especially Universal's classic Wolfman lore, and throws it out the window and revamps it with an intriguing new one.
It does, and like you said, I really enjoyed the depiction of how the turmoil that they go through internally as well as the transformation externally.
Yeah, it really kind of goes into the deeper side of, rather than the supernatural element, it's treated more like a disease. And that was kind of an interesting take on it, especially of how his loved ones around the main character are basically dealing with this. And you could kind of feel, while it is a very fantastical situation that this family goes through, you feel that grounded metaphor behind it all.
Right, it's very heavily relatable because the characters just got to the point of, what do we do?
Yeah, exactly. And I think while all that is very interesting, especially with some of the new lore, I think that is also the biggest miss in this film's story. It never really sinks its canines into that new lore and instead focuses on that isolation and the slow decomposition of a loved one essentially battling that terminal disease and the seclusion that can come with that. I did feel a deeper connection to this story because Sarah and I are about to be parents, especially of a little girl coming in May.
Yeah.
So I really could connect with that sense of responsibilities, parental, protection of, your loved ones, especially your little girl. I think this film hit me in a bit of a different way.
Right, like now things are giving you different perspectives.
It is. Now, in terms of the characters and the performances of all the actors, I gotta say, woo.
Grade A acting.
Oh, absolutely.
I thoroughly enjoyed.
I was so impressed. I don't think I've ever seen a movie with this actor, Christopher Abbott, who plays the main character, Blake, and the Wolfman. And he really brought this sense of that seclusion, like being private, feeling the distance from his family, from his childhood trauma, and him trying to kind of repair what's left of their family.
Whilst also trying to dialogue, not giving his child the same childhood trauma that he had.
You really do feel for him. Your heart kind of breaks for him that he's trying, and this situation happens, and it's just a downward spiral.
Right, and he depicts that internal turmoil so well.
And I think part of what comes from that is his ability to interpret what is going on through this slow transformation. It is very much similar to the Fly movie from the 80s, and of just seeing that slow transformation and disease starting to engulf his entire body, and seeing that transition from man slowly becoming the wolf, I thought was absolutely brilliant. There's slight details in the way he does little quirks that, like, you're starting to see the animal come out. And I thought that was absolutely brilliant on his part.
Yeah, he just did a great job.
And I think part of what helps that is when you have a great supporting cast, and it's very intimate, which I think helped with this particular horror film, because Julia Garner, who plays his wife Charlotte, she is very interesting in it. Like, it's almost like you would expect, like, okay, strong female character, you know, who's gonna get the job done and protect her family. But in this situation, she's very much
very vulnerable.
Very vulnerable.
You see the vulnerability, and she plays that off very well too.
Yeah, and you know, a spouse watching her partner go through something so awful, and it's that feeling of helplessness that just like really pulls you apart and creates incredible tension, because in your brain you know what's going on because you know you're going to see a Wolfman movie, but they're watching this all from their perspective and they have absolutely no idea what to do here because the situation has just gotten out of control. And I get it. I get why you're kind of just a deer in the headlights right now. Having that daughter character like Matlida Firth, who plays Ginger, which I wonder if they called her Ginger because of
Ginger Snaps
werewolf movie that came out. It was kind of like, I think I know what you're doing there, Leigh. Most of the time, young actors and actresses can be a very annoying part of a film. I did not get that feeling from her. I
didn't either. I think she had a strong contribution to the storyline.
I do. I mean, clearly she was there to kind of create that paternal protection and instinct for the rest of the characters. Was really used in a very touching, intimate storytelling that I felt hold the story together and kind of push it forward. Now, one thing I will say about the Wolfman character and design, like we said, it doesn't follow your typical supernatural lore. It goes through more of a disease element to it, but I would say in terms of the character design, without giving anything away, it's definitely different. It is the Wolfman. It's just not my favorite. What did you think about the particular design without giving anything away?
I would agree. I enjoyed the external transformation to a point, but I agree it's not my favorite design.
Yeah, if there's one thing I give it a ton of credit for is the practical effects of the body horror. It really felt like American Werewolf in London, where it's using the animatronics of bone breaking, you know, and
that is one thing I do look for in a werewolf movie. Is I like that bone breaking sound when you get the transformation going.
It's something that just, you look at it and you can feel the pain, you know, you're just like, ooh. And it was great to hear it because you could hear the audience. We went to see it in IMAX and you could hear the audience kind of just like, there's moments where jaws were dropped and like people just going like, oh,
yep, cringing,
you know, had to look away a little bit. So it's definitely a terrifying body horror film. And I think that all goes back to just how brilliant Leigh Whannell is as a director and story writer. The fact that he was able to modernize and bring back the Invisible Man, which I would say, I do think that Invisible Man was a better movie than this one, but I think this one will definitely grow on me. And I think it just has a keen eye for cinematography, getting a great shot, but also transporting you into a groundedness. While it's a fantastical idea, you're in it. One of the things that I just really appreciated about it was, I think for the first time, we really got to see through the eyes of the beast.
Yeah. That different perspective that they show as he's transforming, kind of from his perspective and what he's going through mentally, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's just truly ingenious because you would imagine a wolf sees with the color tones, the idea of like seeing in the dark versus what humans can see, and they
not
really
understanding English,
English, and like really playing with that different perspective. It was kind of like using that, like they said in the disease with like Alzheimer's, of like sometimes they just get to that point where they're incoherent, like not really understanding what is going on around them, and it gets them angry and frustrated. And he just plays with all of those different archetypes that I was just so, that's really where this film focused, and they definitely nailed that. And I think it's a super intriguing and just incredible way of doing a Wolfman movie that I don't think we really see. Usually it's just the carnage, it's the blood, it's the gore, and there is definitely
some of that, yeah. Yes.
You know, there's definitely brutality. So if that's what you're looking for, you're gonna get it. It definitely approaches the Wolfman in a different way, and I think that just goes to the brilliant mind of Leigh Whannell, the real stars. If you're gonna give anyone a huge Oscar for this movie, the sound design team.
Yes.
I would highly recommend seeing it in IMAX or Dolby, something better than just your standard film, because it may be one of the best, like top 5 best audio engineering sound design I've ever heard in a film. It's just an auditory sensation that I didn't realize would make the thrills and the suspension of this film even better, but it does. It almost has a Jaws effect without hearing a Jaws theme.
Right.
And that's awesome.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So, Sarah, if you had to give this movie a score, what would you give it?
I think I'd give it about a 7.4.
Wow. We're actually like super close. I was thinking like a 7.3. Yeah, I thought it was an incredible, solid entry to werewolf movies, and especially for Universal. There's just some themes that I wish they would dive in. Like, if you're going to completely rip out everything we know about Wolfman lore, then tell me about this Wolfman lore. It was a very intriguing part. Let's see some of the deep dive or the investigation that may have happened about that particular lore, because it doesn't sound like it's exactly unknown. It's somewhere out there, but I'd be curious to see if maybe if the Wolfman does well enough, maybe they dive into that a little further. I would be down.
I would be as well. I mean, I really like backstories to these kinds of things, especially when there's supernatural elements involved.
I do too, because this film, like, while it escapes that lore investigation, it kind of throws you into the carnage pretty quick.
Yeah.
And it doesn't stop. So Get ready for a wild ride. It's intense. Prepare yourself. But let us know in the comments what you guys think. I would love to hear what some of your favorite werewolf movies are, or maybe just what you felt this film did great, or maybe not so great for you. I'm curious to hear your guys' takes, so let us know. But thank you so much for watching. I'm your host, Trey, with his wonder wife, Sarah. And don't forget to tune in weekly.
Same bad time.
Same bad channel.